Time flies when you're having fun. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about some critical things when you're brewing beer. We're actually in the middle of the boil right now for this Creekwater 420 Pale Ale. And we have 15 minutes before we have to add some more hops. So a friend of mine asked me the other day, he goes, what do you think are the three most important things for brewing beer? And you know, I said, well, that sort of depends, really. You know, are you just starting out, or are you, you know, you've been doing it for 2-3 years or something, and you want to try and make your beer better? But one of the things I told him was sanitization, right? Honestly, though, you know, I might get my hand slapped for saying this, but from here over should be clean, like a cooking pot, you know, something. It has to be clean, right? It doesn't have to be sanitary from here over. And what I mean from here over is hot water and mashing, okay? Even entering, even entering the boil kettle, I mean, the boil kettle should be clean, but it doesn't have to be like sanitized. You don't have to like hit it with Star San if you don't want to. I mean, it's going to be boiling for an hour. Anything that's like living in there is going to be dead, okay? But from here beyond, absolutely sanitary, okay? So when we go to pump the wort out of the boil kettle through the heat exchanger and into the fermenter, everything has got to be sanitary. The kegs are going to be sanitary after the fermentation, the bottles do, the bottle caps do, everything beyond the boil has to be sanitary, okay? Otherwise, you're going to end up with spoilage. You just can't have bacteria and other organisms in your beer after the boil. It's going to result in crap. So just keep that in mind. One of the things we use is, I always like clean these out as if it were like a cooking pot, okay, at the end of the brew session. I keep them covered. I'll usually like maybe rinse them out, and then I don't really do anything else. This has to be Star San. And one of the things you missed just a little while ago is we were pumping Star San through this pump and this hose. So just it's critical that it be sanitary after it boils. Point number 2, honestly, temperature control. And you know, honestly, I think that the PIDs, you know, obviously they result in a high degree of accuracy while you're, you know, the rim system just keeps the mash dead nuts right on the freaking money. So what does that give you? Well, it obviously gives you a good conversion, a very accurate conversion. And if you're looking for some unfermentable sugars to be left behind, that's the sort of thing you'll get. But to be honest, what's more important is the temperature that you ferment your beer at, okay? You just can't take your wort and dump it in your fermenter and then put it out in the garage in the summer and leave it there, okay? The temperature will fluctuate too much and you will end up with some bad stuff in your beer. The yeast gets stressed when they go high, they get stressed when they go low, they get stressed from like changes in temperature, and that produces off flavors and poor beer. So the best thing that I can suggest is that, well, it's easy in the winter, right? You can, like the fermentator in the winter time, these straps right here, basically what we do is we leave them in the garage. And we strap a heating pad to this, and we attach a thermocouple to the fermentator, and one of these, here, just one. One of these temperature controllers you could buy on Amazon or eBay, whatever, okay? Basically, thermocouple is taped onto the side. This isn't the one, but, and then you connect the heating element to it, and it basically monitors the temperature and adjusts, you know, turns the heating blanket on and off, on and off, on and off. Unfortunately, there is no real easy way to do that with cooling in the summertime, but the same sort of thing applies. You can't let your wort temperature go to 80 degrees. In fact, it's not even really good to get it up to 75. You should try and keep it, your ale yeast, at between 65 and 70. And the tighter that tolerance is, the better. So that would be point number 2. As far as point number 3, you know, I'd say if you can do whatever you can do to try and keep the process that you're using the same over and over and over, okay? When you have a rig like this, well, obviously, you know, it's the same thing time after time after time. We dump 15.5 gallons of water into this, we heat it up to 162 degrees, we dump whatever the strike water quantity is into the mash tun, we dough in our grain according to the recipe that we're using. We vorloff out any sort of grain or byproducts that, you know, might have snuck into the false bottom or something during our doughing process. And then we like turn on the rims tube and start pumping. And we pump through the rims for 60 minutes. After that, we sparge into the boil kettle. And as we drain the boil kettle in, we keep adding water in here, and we attempt to keep the, you know, the level above the grain bed fairly consistent. Once that's all done, we turn on the heating element to the boil kettle and start ramping it up. Wait for the hop break. Once that happens, we can start throwing our hops in and set the timer. And then we like add our hops on schedule, and when that's done, we whirlpool the wort we need to get all that brake material into like a pile in the middle so we don't clog up our heat exchanger. And then once we're done whirlpooling, ready to pump, we pump it straight through. We have like a device that we connect into the output of the heat exchanger so that we can monitor the temperature of the wort on the fly and try and get our wort into the fermenter at about 68 degrees. We always use a starter here just so we don't have to spend a ton of money on yeast, and we have a sufficient quantity of cells to like pitch into the wort so that we get a good fast reaction on the fermentation. And then basically we leave it in there just like controlled temperature for 2 weeks. At the end of 2 weeks, we can rest assured that it's done, and at that point we take it out of there, rack it into kegs or bottles, whatever we do, and we always end up with great beer. I've been doing this for like 6 years now, and knock on wood, I have yet to make a bad beer, or at least a spoiled beer, you know. So consistency in process is really one of your, I feel it's one of the important things about brewing beer. So I hope that helped, and keep on brewing, okay?